On behalf of the Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce, we welcome each one of you to this special talk on funding CapEx and OpEx working capital for business requirement. This particular special talk is being organized under the aegis of the Banking, Finance and Corporate Affairs Expert Committee of BCIC. We would like to especially thank our chairman, Dr. K.V. Om Prakash, advocate, founder and director of Consortia Consultancy, and co-chairman, Mr. Joydeep Nag, head technical enabling center, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapita, and mentor, Mr. N. Venkatakrishnan, advisor, Tata Hitachi Construction Machinery Equipment. The today's session will be addressed by Mr. N. Ravichandra, advisor, Treasury, Tax, Secretarial and Insurance of Praxair India and Linde Group of India. It's going to be an interesting topic, and I don't want to stay between the speaker and the audience. I thank also all the participants for joining in today's session. The basic rules for today's is please keep your mic in silent mode. To raise your hands in case you want to ask any questions, or please post your questions in the chat box only. Now I request our chairman to take the proceedings forward. Over to you, Dr. Om Prakash.
Uh, thank you, Prithvi, and thank you all of you, those who have taken time and participating for this capex and opex investment. Before going to the session, I would like to introduce Mr. Ravichandran. He's not new face to BCIC. He's been here with us for more than 3 decades as various committee members like direct taxes, indirect taxes, and our own committee, banking, finance, and taxes. He is a chartered accountant with over 40 years of experience in the field of treasury, taxation, company law, secretarial, and commercials, besides interacting with government on various tax and policy representatives. Some of the suggestions implemented in budget and policies have been his contribution. As I said, he's been associated with BCIC for a long time. His last employment was head treasury, taxation, insurance for Praxair India, and after superannuation continuing as an advisor for the same company and Linde Group in the above areas, besides advising on structuring of contracts. He has worked with various leading companies like Bell, ABB, ENY, and Praxair. He was also involved in startups as well as other companies as CFO. So now I present before you all Mr. N. Ravichandra. On to you, sir.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, sir. All yours.
You're on mute, Ravi.
Good morning to all of you, and wishing you a happy and prosperous new year. Thank you, Doctor, for a nice introduction, and thanks BCIC for giving me the opportunity to speak on this subject. And this subject is a very vast subject. So funding, as you know, is the what you call like a blood for the industry, whether it is a manufacturing or service industry. So let me start with what you call various types of funding. In fact, I have handled multiple funding in different companies, except the IPO I have not handled. In fact, Dr. Nog will be handling IPO session shortly, maybe in a month or so. So I would not like to go in detail on that. But I will try to cover as much as possible. First, I will wait a minute. Load my.
I think you can share the PPT.
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen. Are you able to see?
Yes, Ravi, we can see.
Okay. So funding for capex and working capital, operation expenditure or working capital. So one is for investing and fixed assets and long-term what they call assets, and second is for running the company on a day-to-day basis. So let me go to the types of funding. I think I should put on a slideshow. So types of funding, I think initially you start with the equity for any company, whether it is be it a limited company, private limited, public limited, or even a proprietorship firm or a partnership firm or a LLP. Start with a small equity or a larger equity. Then second is term loans, maybe INR loans or external commercial borrowings. So external commercial borrowings can be in INR as well as foreign currency. Then equity through that is from banks and institutions. From capital markets and other companies, you can raise equity through IPO.
Just word copy ಮಾಡಾಕಿದ್ರು
Hello. Hello.
Can everyone go on mute?
Yeah,
So-
request all of you to be on mute, please.
Okay. So from capital markets and other companies, you can raise through equity through IPO or equity through venture capital. Then the non-banking financial companies, term loans are there. Then I will start from the parent only. Parent, you can raise equity or compulsory convertible debentures or preference shares, or optionally or partially non-convertible debentures, preference shares. ECB in foreign currency in INR, and rupee denominated bond or masala bond, which is no longer permitted by RBI. Then from banks and financial institutions, either you can have a term loan or ECB in INR, then ECB or INR bond, then non-convertible debentures. This is from the long-term perspective. In foreign currency, you have ECB, then there is something called buyer's credit, of course, that is in, that is small mistake, which is in for work. Buyer's credit or long-term also is there. Then export credit agency loan. Then for working capital, we have got supply chain financing and the bill discounting, whether it is on the vendor side or on the customer side. Then you have got packing credit, pre-shipment and post-shipment for exporters. Then OD and CC, which is the most prominent and which is the oldest form of funding a business. Overdraft and CC, whether it is be it small business or large business. And of course, you have got short-term loans, working capital loans. Then there is buyer's credit for imports. Then from capital markets and other companies, you have equity through IPO or equity through venture capital. Then INR bonds, offshore and onshore. Then you have got fixed deposits either from public or even other companies, even institutions or even mutual funds. Then you have got non-convertible debentures onshore, which can be secured or unsecured. Then you have got a commercial paper. Then we have got intercorporate deposits. From NBFC, you can raise term loans or you can go for asset financing or leasing and microfinancing for small businesses and short-term loans. So this is in what you call broad. I try to cover as much as possible. I might have left out something. Okay. Let us go to the next slide. So long-term funding, we'll come to that. Then equity, tenor. Talking of tenor, currency and security. Tenor is currency is always INR. So equity, there is no tenor and all that. There is no coupon rate or benchmark. Induced restriction, equities, there is no induced restriction. Regulatory is for IPO, you have got SEBI compliances. For limited companies, you have got company law compliances. But risk is if you go for public or equity from others, there is a dilution of equity and from the owner side or from the promoter side. So long-term loan from banks. So foreign banks in India give up to 5 years. Indian banks give up to 7 years. but up to 10 years is permitted for infra companies. Then repayment can be by installments with a moratorium, or it can be bullet repayment. Security normally is mortgage or hypothecation of fixed assets. And additionally, I think collateral will be a personal guarantee of promoters or directors. And even hypothecation of current assets. This is a normal route. For MNC subsidiaries, parent guarantee or letter of comfort also is there instead of security by way of assets, pledging of assets. So rating is preferred if loan is more than 200 crores. So coupon rate, it can be fixed, it can be floating based on MCLR. MCLR is marginal cost of lending. As per RBI regulations, earlier it was actually paid quarterly or half yearly or yearly, the term loans. But last, I think, a few years, RBI has come out with a circular saying that interest has to be paid monthly. So benchmark for floating rates, it can be MIBOR. MIBOR is nothing but Mumbai Interbranch Offer Rate or MIBID. MIBID is not so much popular. Mumbai Interbranch bid rate or PLR was the earlier things in vogue. So spread is based on credit profile, and if it is rated, you get a better credit profile also. So interest rates go lower if credit profile is better. And normally the foreign banks lending rate is lower compared to Indian banks. Among Indian banks, State Bank of India is the lowest rate. Other banks follow. Foreign banks are much lower because the cost of capital is much lower. There is something called CASA. CASA means current account and savings account, and then capital invested. I think the rates for foreign banks is much lower. So end-use restrictions. You can't invest, taking loan, invest in other company shares. Long-term loan you can't use for general corporate purpose. It is generally avoided. Then purchase of land for if it is what I call establishing a factory and all is okay. On lending is by way of borrowing, and you can't lend it to other companies, other group companies, which I think some of the defaulting companies have been doing, siphoning off and all that. So regulatory is local banking and RBI regulations. You have got master directions on lending. Then tax issue is there is a thin cap rules apply for loans given under parent guarantee. Thin cap is there is BEPS, base erosion and profit sharing of OECD countries, which India is a signatory to it. So it has been implemented from 2018, if I'm right. So where interest in excess of 30% of EBITDA is disallowed in the what you call as a reduction in the while calculating the income tax by income tax. Then there is interest rate risk in case of floating rates and fixed rate with periodical resets. Fixed rate also, so you can because many banks don't give for the entire tenor of the loan. For example, the loan is for 3 years or 5 years, so they will ask for a reset every year. So that can be interest rate reset is there. So earlier people used to give fixed rate in earlier regime. I'm telling about 10-20 years back. Many of might have experienced also. The rate will not fluctuate during the tenor of the loan. But nowadays the banks don't give loan with what they call fixed rate for a longer tenor. At best they can give for 1 year reset or something. Of course it depends. Some banks do give it. Then let me move on to ECB. Sorry. ECB is nothing but external commercial borrowings from banks. So any bank, whether Indian bank or foreign bank having branches in India, they can give a ECB. Tenor is minimum average maturity of 3 years. We did not suppose there is an installment payment. So average maturity should be 3 years, not the Not that you can't pay before 3 years. So maximum is permitted is $750 million per annum. For manufacturing companies, minimum average maturity is 1 year, and maximum is $50 million per year for this 1 year average maturity. The currency can be INR ECB or a foreign currency ECB. Coupon rate is floating. Floating is spread over LIBOR. LIBOR is nothing but London interbranch rate. Spread dependent on credit profile. Maximum spread cannot be 450 or 550 basis points. So LIBOR is gone up from 1st of January because a lot of they found that I think a lot of manipulation is happening in the interbranch market in London. Banks were manipulating. So there is something called SOFR in place of MIBOR. So end-use restrictions are investment in shares, general corporate purpose or working capital, real estate, repayment of INR loans other than for capex. That means you can't use the ECB for repayment of loans or working capital, but it can repay INR loans taken for capex. On lending is nothing but you can't lend it to other companies. So what are the regulatory, tax and accounting issues connected? RBI master directions on ECB. Then there is first you have to apply for what you call loan registration number. Then you have to go for then I think it is automatic route from banks. It is automatic route. Then there is a monthly RBI reporting. There is ECB2 form to be filed every month. Then currency risk is in case of foreign currency ECBs. Hedging to take care of risks. However, hedging costs are there. Interest rate risk in case of fluctuation in benchmark rates. This is another risk you have to watch out for. Then from accounting aspect, ECB in foreign currency have mark-to-market accounting annually, and tax issues connected thereof. Then thin cap rules apply for even ECB with parent guarantee. I think I already told you about 30%. It cannot exceed 30% of the EBITDA. EBITDA is nothing but earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. Then you have got non-convertible debentures from banks or capital markets. Tenor is minimum 1 year. 3 years for FPI. FPI is foreign portfolio investors under VRR quota. Voluntary reserve quota, that is. Currency is in INR. External rating is not mandatory, but rating is preferred. It can be listed or unlisted. If listed, I think it has got more people can invest and you've got a broader market. So coupon rate is market driven based on credit profile, and rate is not floating, it is fixed. So benchmark rate, because it is fixed, there is no benchmark rate. So end-use restriction, investment in shares. Of course, real estate, other things will come. But accounting is need to create debenture redemption reserve. The next is ECB, external commercial borrowings from parent or group. So tenor is minimum average maturity of 3 years. Maximum $750 million per annum. For manufacturing companies, average maturity can be 1 year. Maximum 50 MUSD. Minimum average maturity can be 5 years if used for general corporate purpose, working capital, and repayment of INR loan. Currency can be foreign currency or INR. Coupon rate can be floating, spread over LIBOR. Again, LIBOR is getting replaced by SOFR. Maximum spread cannot be more than 450 basis points. And when you are borrowing from parent or group, you have to benchmark it for transfer pricing. Otherwise, you will have tax issues connected there. So again, what are the restrictions? Investment in shares, real estate, purchase of land, on lending. Okay, then here also the it is gone by RBI master directions. It can be automatic or approval route. Automatic route is where the ECB is taken from a direct equity investor or indirect equity investor. In fact, what it says is you can take from father, grandfather, or great grandfather, but you can't take from uncles and cousins. In fact, I faced a problem. One of the group companies we wanted to borrow, but I think they didn't give approval, and even the approval route also was difficult. Of course, finally, after a lot of discussions with RBI, we got the approvals. So it was not the what I call direct chain. It was in the parallel chain. Then yeah, monthly RBI reporting is there. So just like bank ECBs, there are currency risks associated with the foreign currency ECB. It can be resolved by hedging, but hedging costs are there. Interest rate risk in case of fluctuation in benchmark rates. Again, ECB in foreign currency have similarly mark-to-market and tax issues. Then, of course, all the ECB from the group has got thin cap rules under Section 94B of the Income Tax Act. So 30% of EBITDA. We'll come to the risk and mitigation steps also. Then you have compulsorily convertible debentures from parent. So convertibility you can keep for even 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Currency is in INR. Only thing is, I think there is no currency risk for the borrower, but there is a currency risk for the lender group company. Sorry, it is not unlisted. It is unlisted only. Then RBI introduced in 2019, I think 19 yes, 19 or 17, an option to repay. So coupon rate has to be depending on the group's decision, but you have to benchmark with other from a transfer pricing. You can't price it very highly, and induce no restrictions. So this CCD is considered as a FDI. When you're taking from a parent, I think you have to decide the upfront the conversion ratio. For deciding on the conversion ratio, you have to do a share valuation. Share valuation has to be done by either a CA firm or a class 1 merchant banker. Then under India is part of CCD considered as equity right from beginning. And tax department has been taking a view that CCD is equity, and we will not allow any interest paid on CCD as a deductible expenditure. But nonetheless, case laws have been in the favor of the taxpayer or the assessee. So they take a stand, and which is a wrong stand, because till it is converted, it remains a debt instrument. So this is a hybrid instrument where it is initially debt, then on conversion, it becomes a equity. And there is an option also which has come recently, and you have to study that also from a company law, tax and accounting also. In fact, we did repayment of CCD. I think we are the only company to do that in India, which was possible after RBI introduced this option to repay. Then next is rupee denominated bond or masala bond. This can be taken from earlier it was permitted from group, but no longer permitted from 2017 March. Tenor minimum average maturity of 3 years for bonds up to $50 million. Sorry, there is an error. Equivalent per financial year. Maximum 5 years for bonds USD equivalent more than $50 million. So again, it is rupee denominated. It is INR. The bonds have to be issued outside India. That is the main thing. It cannot be issued in India. It has to be issued outside India. So the subscribers to the bond can be any person or a company or bank situated outside India. And there is another restriction is it can be in countries only which is a member of FATF or like body. FATF is Financial Action Task Force. You might have seen in papers also. FATF has got a censure on Pakistan and other countries like Iran, etc. Iran, then you got North Korea and all that. Then should be a signatory to IOSCO or have a MOU with SCB. IOSCO is again Security Commissions of International Association. So rating is preferred since you are placing with for outsiders. Rating would be preferred, though it is not mandatory as per law. So sure, so having a rating done by external agency like Standard & Poor or others. Moody's or Standard & Poor or ICRA or Fitch, that will be preferred. Coupon rate as per market conditions. But there is a restriction on ceiling. All-in cost not to exceed 450 basis points over G-Secs of the same maturity. G-Sec is government security in India. Benchmark rate is G-Sec. Induced restriction is real estate, capital market activities, on lending, purchase of land. Then regulatory is RBI master directions. Then monthly RBI reporting is there. It is treated like a ECB only. The exchange risk is there for investor, not for the borrower, but there is a risk for the investor. So you have to keep this in mind while going for rupee denominated bond. In fact, the first one to float was, if I remember, it was HDFC for 3,000 crores. In fact, we raised about more than 2,500 crores. Of course, it is from a parent. So other, what you call, mostly banks have issued the masala bonds. Then next let us go to short-term loan from banks. So short-term loans are minimum tenor is 7 days. So minimum you would take for 7 days. Maximum is 1 year. However, suppose you take it can be rolled over on maturity. Suppose you take a loan for say 1 month. On maturity, can roll over for another month or another 10 days or 7 days or 15 days. Normally, currency is INR. Security is hypothecation of current assets or parent guarantee. Then, of course, the collateral will be promoter's guarantee or director's guarantee. That is always there in all the bank loans. Coupon rate can be fixed. Floating spread over MIBOR. Spread linked to credit profile. But of course, the banks cannot lend below MCLR. MCLR is marginal cost of lending. And it differs from bank to bank. MCLR rates differ from bank to bank. And it is what they call in the public domain. They have to publish it. Okay. Induced restriction, investment in shares, real estate, and of course, you can't do it for capex also. Then what are the things? RBI master directions. Interest rate reset just for floating loans. Interest rate risk in case of fluctuations in benchmark rates. Then one more rate. Reset rate is there, okay, for floating. Reset risk is there, and even floating loans also, fixed loans also reset risk is there. Then thin cap rules for loans with parent guarantee. So OD cash credit, which is the most popular form of, most efficient form of short-term borrowing. It is there from long time. Facilities are granted for 1 year. Renewed after expiry. In fact, I distinctly remember about what they call maximum permissible limit during my study, doing my CA. That was followed those days. So rate is fixed. It is market driven, based on credit profile, based on MCLR, interest on daily balancing. So why I'm saying this is the most efficient form is what they call the short-term borrowing is dependent on how much you draw, depending on your cash flow. Suppose you get during the day collections and you pay it. So the what they call the overall outstanding OD only will carry interest. In fact, together with cash management, it became a very efficient tool for managing funds and cash. But the RBI came with a circular saying that if sanctioned limit is more than 150 crores, first 40% you take from short-term loan, that is 7 days to 1 year loan. Only balance can be in ODCC. This has put this was a dampener on what you call efficient management of funds, because you take a loan for say 15 days and you have surplus in between. You can't repay. If you repay before 7 days, it is not permitted. If you prepay before the due date, then you have prepayment penalties. So this is a dampener for large borrowings, but smaller borrowings, it is not an issue. This applies only to working capital limits sanctioned more than 150 crores. You can stop me if I'm going too fast. Doctor, am I going too fast or is it okay?
It's okay.
Then
You're
you have
going
got one more from RBI circular. If it is unutilized cash credit, then there is something called credit conversion of 20%. That means if they're not utilized, then that 20% will be added to 40%. So they say first you have to take the short-term loan, then only go for OD. Again, it applies for more than 150 crores only. Then packing credit. Packing credit also a very, very old instrument, which is mainly for exporters. It can be pre-shipment. Pre-shipment is when you import materials for import or even buy materials for export order. It is called pre-shipment. Post-shipment is your nothing but debtor financing. Again, you have got other things also connected to the packing credit. You have got ECGC guarantee, Export Credit Guarantee Commission. It can be floating. A rate less than CC or OD, short-term loan, spread over LIBOR. Again, so far replacing LIBOR. To be used only for funding working capital for exports. Then RBI master directions are there. Interest rate risk in case of fluctuation in benchmark rates. Currency risks are there, but I think it is covered by natural hedge. Suppose you have got exports to say in dollars, you have got export earnings in dollars. So there is no risk actually because your repayment also is in dollars. So issue is solved naturally. That is called natural hedge. If you have got export to Japan, say in yen or Europe and euro, so you can take loans in that same currency where your export earnings are there. So there is no risk in fluctuation because you also get more if the rate goes up. So there is no risk if you take in the same currency in which the export proceeds are going to be realized. Then one more interesting thing is buyer's credit from banks. There are two types of buyer's credit. I think I didn't cover that. One is for long term. Long term is for import of capital goods, and short term is for import of goods for manufacturing. Okay, tenor up to long term is 3 years, short term is 1 year, and they what you call grant in foreign currency only, and floating rate, and this is a very, very efficient. Only thing is the currency risks are there. So the benchmark was LIBOR till December 31, 2021. From 22, so far we are not. And this is specifically given against each import bill. So it is not. You have to submit the bill, invoice of the vendor. So against this, bank will finance you. Okay, whether it is capital related or revenue related. Capital related, you can go up to 3 years, and revenue related is 1 year. So it is again what you call very, very efficient tool, and the rates are lower, much lower, and you have to negotiate depending on the credit profile. In fact, I was able to get the very, very competitive rate of LIBOR plus 50 basis points. LIBOR plus 35 basis points. Depends on the company profile and how you negotiate and which bank you deal with. So then, as I said, RBI master directions are there for buyer's credit. Interest rate risk in case of fluctuation in benchmark rates. So currency risks, as I told you, suppose you have got an export earning, there is a natural hedge there. And then I will come to the risk and mitigations for. So MSME and startup funding. So all the above funding methods available to MSMEs also and startups. MSME funding can be done from foreign banks in India also. And one more piece of good news is because all the banks have got what is called as priority sector lending, which is a yearly target. So MSME is one of the priority sector list. So there is MSME cell for each of the banks, including foreign banks nowadays, which was not there earlier. Funding available from traditional financial institutions like KSFC, KSIDC, SIDBI, and other state financial institutions. I remember days when only funding was from KSFC or KSIDC in Karnataka. And of course, IDBI was there, and IDBI was refinancing this institution. Then I would like to ask a question. You know, which is the earliest venture capital fund in India? From the participants?
No, no idea, Ravi.
Anybody else?
Fundamental question, but
Yeah. So I would say, I think it was there from venture capital is a new thing, but it was there in a different, what I call name, state development financial institutions, even KSIDC and all TIDCO, etc., etc. Even Gujarat is the forerunner for all this. They were giving, investing in shares. In fact, all the giant sector you see in India was floated by these institutions. In fact, Bangalore International Airport, JSW Steel, those days, I think those the state industrial development corporations used to hold the industrial license. So then they used to ask for what they call JV partners. So there's a bit of what they call because I was auditor for KSIDC, so I studied the entire gamut, and in fact KSIDC is responsible for a lot of growth in India. It was again Bangalore International Airport was promoted by KSIDC. So they have done a Yemen work. Even Titan is a joint venture between TIDCO and Tatas. So here I can count on Vikrant Tires, some so many companies in Karnataka. And even the Infosys was curated by loans from KSIDC when banks were not willing to lend. So, then as a venture capital company, first one was called TDICI, Technology Development and Investment Corporation of India. It is again floated by ICICI and other institutions. Now it is called ICICI Ventures. Now, of course, a lot of foreign VCs have come and more on tech sector. It has undergone a sea change from days earlier. Then leasing is another, leasing and asset financing from NBFC like Bajaj Finance or even Shriram Transport Finance, Shriram Finance, Stray, so many are there. Then equity funding from venture capitals, definitely it is another mode. Coming to risk and mitigation. Thin cap rules under Section 94B of Income Tax Act for parent or parent guaranteed loans. Interest more than 30% of EBITDA disallowed. What is the mitigation? You have to keep in mind when you are borrowing. Keep in mind your EBITDA, future projections of EBITDA. But one more mitigation factor is disallowances can be carried over like unabsorbed losses for 8 years. So that is a mitigation. In fact, that is good. I think if companies in a profit mode, definitely this should not be an issue. Then major risk is currency risk in case of foreign currency borrowings. Currency hedging is there. That will have hedge cost. Then there is something called currency swap. I can swap between currencies. In fact, a lot of complicated structures is to be given by the foreign banks, like double swap, triple swap, Quanto, etc., etc., etc. But costs are involved, but nonetheless, you can reduce the risk. Then interest rate risk in case of floating rates and rates linked to benchmark. Again, floating to fixed, you can do a swap. That is called interest rate swap. So that can be done, but the costs are involved nonetheless. Then tax risk associated with disallowance of interest on hybrid instruments. Of course, mitigation is decided case laws in favor of the taxpayer. However, instrument not to be used only for tax purpose. Otherwise, tax department can invoke GAR. GAR is nothing but general anti-avoidance rules. Where instrument is used only for tax planning, then it is definitely they can invoke the GAR provisions and disallow. Then currency risk for overseas lender. Again, currency hedging. Currency hedging they can do in Indian market, or they can do in what they call non-deliverable foreign markets are there. NDF market is also there. Currency swaps, that also is possible. Interest rate risk in case of floating rates and rate linked to benchmark. Again, swapping is a mitigation. So coming to finally, glossary, LIBOR, as I told you already, London Interbank Offer Rate. MIBOR, Mumbai Interbank Offer Rate. MIBID, Mumbai Interbank Bid Rate. Then prime lending rate was there, which is a benchmark even for many of the contracts in case of default by either party. The interest rate spread over by either a PLR of SBI was taken as a benchmark. Am I correct, Doctor? Many of the commercial contracts have this PLR inbuilt. Then MCLR is the marginal cost of lending. That again depends on the tenor. It can be overnight or it can be 1 month MCLR rate for a particular bank, 2 months, 3 months, depend 1 year. So it depends on the asset liability position of the companies, of the banks, respective banks. So far is nothing but secured overnight financing rate. This is going to be the benchmark, new benchmark from this beginning of this year. FATF, I already told you, Financial Action Task Force. IOSCO, International Organization of Securities Commissions. SEBI, as all you know, Securities Exchange Board of India, and the NBFC, non-banking financial company. ECB, I told you, IPO, all of you know, FPI for foreign portfolio investors. FPI has to be what you call portfolio investments, so they have to register in India before they do the investment. So, any questions now? I think I rushed through. Hope I will not rush through too much. In fact, leasing was there. A lot of things to be covered on leasing, but I could not cover because of the time factor.
There any questions from the?
Yes, I am Dattatreya Joshi.
Yeah.
I have a question to Ravichander. What is the longest tenure for this kind of the funding?
Long-term funding, you mean to say?
Yes.
I think I covered that. It is for normally foreign banks lend up to 5 years, where the rates are cheaper. Indian banks can normally go up to 7 years, but for infra like roads, ports, airports, and all that, it is 10 years.
Okay, but why I am raising this point is I do not know. Yesterday, many of us must have read in the newspaper that the Reliance has raised about $4 billion US.
Yeah, that is in the bond market.
Yeah, it's in the bond market. Yes.
Bond market,
It's in the bond
that is the
ultimately, it's also funding.
Correct.
That's also funding.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I'm really amazed. I'm amazed to read that, and the repayment schedule is 10 years, 30 years, and 40 years.
Correct. I think foreign
40
companies also
years,
do.
40 years.
Yeah. I am talking of traditional funding from.
It's looking
I
like a
can't
long-term
imagine.
lease.
I can't imagine. Correct. 40 years. Who will wait for it? I don't know who will be there, who will not be there.
No, it is a right question. I will tell you that it is not a bilateral lending or even what I call consortium lending. It is more like investment. It is again listed in the market. The bonds are listed in the market.
Okay.
So they can sell it.
Oh, that means they have a option to get out.
Yeah, option to get out is there. That is how the bonds market are developed in worldwide.
Okay.
Because the time factor I could not cover in much detail. I rushed through, in fact.
Because
you are very,
this is one of
I want to tell you on that. That is the biggest by any company.
That is the biggest and longest, I believe. They're
Yeah,
the
yeah.
biggest and the longest also.
Yeah.
Because I have not seen anybody who is issuing the bonds for 40 years.
Yeah,
And it has been oversubscribed by 3 times, I believe.
correct. Because the interest rates are falling. They see this is
Correct.
more attractive, and they have got faith in the company. So the credit profile of the
And
company
the interest rate is, I think, of course, it's a in
very low.
dollar, 2.8%.
Yeah. 2.8
2.8%
because it is
interest.
what they call at the same time
Correct.
Reliance has got currency risk.
Exports.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
correct,
of course that
correct.
is mitigated by foreign currency earnings also.
Dattatraya,
That is
I
what
Correct.
Reliance
think
can
there
do.
should be a different criteria to avail such loans. All will
Reliance
not
is
be
what
able
they
to
call
get.
game changer.
Uh-huh.
Either equity or debt is what they
But
call
see,
trailblazer, you can say.
no, of course, this question may not be relevant here.
No, it is
But
very
still,
relevant. Very
it.
relevant.
No.
Good
I
to ask.
have another point.
Yeah.
Just 1 year back, they have repaid almost 1.5 lakhs crores loan.
Wait, say one is cash generation is
1.5
there.
lakhs crores loan they have paid, and during that time they raised equity to the almost same amount,
Yeah,
or
the equity.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Equity they have raised left, right, and center about a year back. I do not know. It must be green in everybody's mind that they're from Google, from Facebook, from KKR,
Yeah,
from you name anybody, okay, they raised money. It's all equity. They repaid the loan during that time.
Yeah.
Now they have borrowed fresh, almost about 30,000 crores now.
Correct. So in fact, the equity market or even Sensex
Uh-huh.
became active after Dhirubhai and Ambani.
Correct. Yes.
Dhirubhai Ambani set the what they call set the pace.
Correct. Equity cult.
Equity cult. I
Yes.
think he was the what they call trailblazer.
Yes. He's a
Others
master.
followed.
He's a master.
Even now, this bond market, what you're saying, na? Part of the proceeds will go to repay the what they call loans. There is something called refinancing. You are refinancing the higher, reduce the interest rate. You are reducing the part of it will be used for retiring some of the debt which is due. What Reliance is coming out the bond market. And second is the what you call, you are telling about investment by Google, etc. It is nothing but like a VC. We invest in what you call, and they will encash when the what you call it goes up.
I know, but see, eventually, Jio is also going to come out with a public issue. Maybe if not this year, maybe next year, whatever it is. And during that time, maybe all these people, will participate in the, the IPO. IPO means by offering the from the offer for sale.
Yeah. It is the same thing. I
That's
think
how,
it is. Say only differences between what I call VCs and equity and the what I call development financial institutions. Earlier they were doing for development of industry like KSADC, TIDCO, etc. But venture capitalists mainly for profit. So they take a risk. Business is nothing but risk.
Correct.
So they take risk in investing, and they what I call give the benefit, get the benefit once the company does well. So it is a risk in what I call your future. So all your valuation of any company is dependent on your future cash flows. DCF method is on future cash flows. So earlier it was all historical costing. Nobody is interested now. It is on how the what I call company will do in future, how the market what I call what is the credit profile of the company, how the company is managed. And Reliance has got a very good what I call credentials, particularly Mukesh
Yes. I
Ambani
think
group.
you said it. You said it correctly. I remember a couple of years back, Reliance, used to borrow money from banks or other financial institutions, and on the other hand, they used to, lend also, or maybe they used to invest in the in the money market, or all those things. Eventually, they used to have a negative, interest amount also sometime.
Yeah.
Means they used to do the lot of in the treasury activity, activity.
No, many companies do it. It is not only Reliance. Many companies do it. But only thing is you have to be aware is you can't invest. The funds are fungible, right? You can't differentiate what is going where. So you have to establish
correct.
what they call you are not investing out of your borrowed funds.
Mhm.
As long as you can establish that, it is not an issue.
Correct.
So only thing is funds are fungible. So only overall you have to do it. It cannot be what you call
Correct.
one-to-one linkage is not there.
Correct. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? So I have a question, Ravichandran. How is this CPs, the commercial papers working?
Commercial paper again, it is a listed down. Again, it is for short term, up to 1 year. CP market also is very vibrant. In fact, I did not cover because I think because of lack of time I missed out. Though I spoke about in the first slide. In fact, I should have elaborated on that. Commercial paper is a short term thing. Again, it is see all these publicly listed things. As I told about Reliance and all that, bond market, commercial paper market and all. It is more like an investment the banks and institutions see. So they can subscribe and they can come out anytime. They can sell it, buy and sell it. Like a government treasury or a GSEC or a treasury bill. It is what I call a very vibrant trading is there, but it has to be listed. You have got issue cost, listing cost, rating cost, etc. So there is no one size fits all. So depending on the company, depending on the credit profile, depending on future business, see a lot of options are there. Unlike earlier, it was restricted. Now a lot of options in funding. Whether equity funding, debt funding, IPO funding, or venture capital funding, or bond markets, or CP market. Very wide variety, but I think it depends on the company. Specifically examine, then options are made. So what is suitable to the company, you have to choose. For example, small companies cannot go for CP because there are a lot of other costs are associated. It is easy to borrow. Larger companies can afford.
Okay.
When they what they call your size is very huge. Smaller size, it is not worthwhile because your cost alone will eat up. So you have to see the overall thing. In the context, I said no one size fits all. It has to be tailored.
Okay, Ravichandran. Your PPT has come out very well, crisp, and we have covered everything in 10 slides.
No, I could
Really,
not cover because time was short, and in fact, a lot of things about leasing, lot of issues on leasing I faced also. Then
So will
commercial
you be
papers.
able to share this PPT to us so that I can?
Yeah, I will share it.
Thank you very much. And Jaideep, any questions you have? Can we close it?
Sorry. Absolutely. I think Ravichandran, it was a very nice sweep of everything. In such a short time to cover so much of depth is very difficult.
No, he has really done a wonderful job
challenge.
in that. PPT
I
is
think that
amazing.
way it's a wonderful job. I actually felt a little, from a selfish end, I felt that, if my students would have been there, they would have learnt a lot from you.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, it's very nice. Actually, it's a very nice tweet because in the financial management class, this is exactly what you need to know. And as a practitioner, you think you have done a marvelous sweep of the whole thing. Thank you for this.
Thank you for the nice words and compliments.
Okay.
Anybody else? I think.
Any questions more? Okay, then I will propose the vote of thanks to the speaker. Thank you, Mr. Ravichandran, for being a wonderful PPT and bringing everything in nutshell with all the nomenclature of the short-term, long-term loans. It was fantastic, actually. So please share with us.
Yeah, sure.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible, doctor.
I think there's a problem with the video. So that brings to the end of our session, and we will be circulating the PPT. And I thank everybody for having joined this session. Have a wonderful day, and we will meet again with next webinar with different topic. Thank you very much.